Hello, everyone. My name is Julie Jeffers, and I am a nutrition coach here at Mind and Body Solutions. And today I wanted to discuss with you how to make healthy choices while eating out. So, for most of us, eating at home, homemade, home cooked, 100% of the time just isn't realistic. Whether it's we're short on time, or we don't feel like cooking, or we're away from home, or we just want to switch things up, that's okay. Eating out happens. And so, before we dive into tips on how to make healthy choices when you eat away from home, I just want to preface that there is no such thing as a perfect, clean eating regimen. It does not exist. One meal will not make or break your progress towards achieving your health goals or maintaining your overall healthy lifestyle. And rather than categorize foods as good or bad, I personally like to categorize my foods as fueling or fun, because we regularly need to consume fueling foods to provide energy and nutrients for our day to day lives. However, it's a fine and good to occasionally enjoy our fun foods too. So the key is just learning how to balance the fun and the fueling foods. So, first, we're going to talk about eating at like sit down restaurants and what are the options there. So, my first tip is plan ahead if possible. If you know where you're eating and you can look up the menu beforehand, I highly recommend doing that because this will just help you get an idea of what you want and you won't be as overwhelmed when you go into the restaurant and you see all the amazing food and smell the smells. um, you might be more eager to get something that maybe doesn't align with your goals as maybe more fun food rather than the feeling food. And so just knowing what you want going into it can help to reduce that kind of craving trigger. And then if you don't know where you're eating, but you know that you are going out to eat that day, you can also, plan your other meals that day to be balanced and fueling so that when you get to the restaurant, if they don't have an option that's fueling or that just doesn't sound good, or they have a fun food that you love, it's your favorite, then you can pick that, but you won't feel like, oh, I've only had fun foods all day. I feel, kind of sluggish. You can enjoy that meal and feel good about it because the rest of your day was balanced in accordance with that meal. My next tip is don't order on an empty stomach. I'm sure we've all seen that Snickers commercial that's like, you're not you when you're hungry. And that is absolutely true. Um, you're really not. You're on high alert. Any good smell is just like, oh, I want that instantly. Even if it's a food you would rarely ever eat, you are just so ravenous. So I would recommend eating a small fueling snack ahead of time to not to just curb your hunger a little bit. You don't want to be starving at a meal. You want to be hungry, not starving. So eating a snack can help to ensure that, again, you're not blinded by the smells and the sight of all the other foods when you get there. Also, um, if you eat a little bit to make yourself just not insatiably hungry, this will allow you to enjoy the food that you ordered, because if you get to the restaurant and you're waiting for the food and when it finally the plate's down in front of you, if you are just starving, you're going to scarf down that food and not really have time to enjoy what you're eating. And that can also be harder on digestion because you're probably not taking as many bites, you're probably not chewing your food as thoroughly if you are just getting it into your mouth as fast as you can. That could lead to an upset stomach later as well, or it can contribute to the likelihood that you overeat and then by the end of the meal, you feel uncomfortably full and fatigued and just kind of sick overall. So, a quick fueling snack is going to include like a piece of cheese, mainly fats or proteins. So, a piece of cheese or a handful of nuts or, a little. beef stick or turkey stick or a little bit of beef jerky, stuff like that, that provides just a little bit of protein or fat that will satisfy you, tide you over until you are able to, get your meal and thoroughly enjoy it. My next recommendation, arguably the most important one, is to ask for substitutions. And I know this can be really scary for some people, and I completely understand. You don't want to be perceived as needy or bothersome or high maintenance. But here's the thing. Working to achieve your health goals is not a bother. It's an investment in yourself. And being not a bother or being not seen as high maintenance and exchanging that for feeling sick or eating something you don't want to eat, it's not a fair trade-off for you. Especially if you have food sensitivities. Like if your option is to eat something that is going to make you feel physically sick, it's just not worth it. Like no one deserves to have to make that choice. And so, but again, I know it's easier said than done. So I want to walk through a couple of the scenarios that would occur. So I want you to think about the worst that could happen if you ask for a substitution. I came up with 3 things. So first is they charge you extra. Second is the waiter or the server makes a visible judgment towards you. And then the third is they just tell you no. So in these scenarios, let's go over the aftermath. In the first one, they charge you extra. This might happen at the end of the meal, like you had no idea they charged you until the bill came out, or they might tell you, okay, we can do that. It's just going to cost this much extra. So in that moment, you can decide if you're willing to spend a couple extra bucks to stay aligned with your health goals, or if you would rather just have a fun meal and then maybe not go to that restaurant in the future because they can't make accommodations for a price that you would like. That's your option there. Or you just order a different meal, something like that. In the second scenario, they visibly judge you. That server is probably not going to remember you or if they ever see you again. And they don't know your life. They don't know what you're trying to achieve. They don't know what you've been through. They don't know what will happen to you if you eat that food. So if they make a face or roll their eyes or make a judgment, just try to brush it off as best as you can, because they don't know you and they don't know how important to you that this choice is. Lastly, they say no, they can't make the accommodation. In this moment, you can just enjoy a fun meal and then make a mental note in your head, okay, that place is great, but they can't accommodate for what I would like. So I might just not choose to go to that restaurant next time. So I hope that kind of helps you break down some of the worst scenarios and give you a little bit more confidence for asking for substitution, because truly, when you have the confidence to ask for those substitutions or accommodations, that opens up variety of where you can eat rather than just sticking to the same, 3 or 4 restaurants. So some common swaps that you can get at restaurants are like a side salad instead of fries or whatever side you're not wanting. Or if the restaurant offers any sort of steamed or grilled vegetable, you can typically substitute that for whatever side you're not wanting. For example, at Mexican restaurants, a lot of times you can get grilled vegetables instead of rice or beans. And even if you don't want grilled vegetables, you can just tell them, I don't want rice and beans, because then it's not there in front of you as like, well, it's here, might as well eat it, don't want to waste the food. If you just tell them you don't want it, then the food's not wasted and you don't feel the pressure to eat it as well. At Italian restaurants, I know places similar to like Olive Garden for sure do this, but most places probably do this as well, is you can get your meal, like your protein and your sauce, put on top of whatever vegetable they have, whether that's broccoli or asparagus or something like that, rather than pasta. Or you can even ask for, okay, can I have part pasta, part vegetables, if you just don't want to eat that entire portion of pasta, stuff like that. For burgers and sandwiches and wraps, you can ask if they will do a lettuce wrap instead. And if not, you can, eat an open-faced sandwich. You're only eating one piece of the bread rather than two. Or, you could have no shame and deconstruct your sandwich. Eat it with a fork and knife. There is no shame in that. And in fact, at high-end restaurants, they will charge you an arm and a leg for a deconstructed meal and consider it fine dining. So really, if you think about it, if you're eating a deconstructed burger or sandwich, you are just being a high-class person. So that's one way to think about it. My next piece of advice is try to avoid the clean plate club. I know that a lot of us, when we were little, the rule was like, you can't leave the table until you've finished everything on your plate. And that has kind of stuck with us. So now that you're an adult and you're in control of your own life and what you eat and stuff like that, I urge you to listen to your body and listen to when you're full and try to get out of that mindset of, I'm so incredibly full, but I just have this teeny little amount of food on my plate. Let me just eat it so I don't waste it. Especially when eating out at restaurants, because the portion sizes are pretty big and it can make it easy to overeat if you have the clean plate club mindset. So stop eating when you're full, but not stuffed. You want to be at the point where you could eat a little more if you wanted to, but if you did, you would probably be like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm about to pop. You don't want to get to that I'm about to pop point. You want to get to just before that. And then ask for a to-go box and take the rest with you and just enjoy the meal again at a later date. And then if you're in a position where you're not going to be able to take it home immediately and like save it, just give yourself the permission to leave the food there. I understand that that's hard. It's something you paid for, but in that moment, you need to decide, would I rather feel sick and uncomfortable and sluggish for the next, 2 to 3 hours, or would I rather miss out on a couple bucks because I didn't fully finish my plate? My next tip is avoid filling up on complimentary breads and chips. I know this is much easier said than done because, you're hungry, it smells good, people around you might be having them, and somehow they just magically keep getting refilled. But both bread and chips are high in carbohydrates, which means you can just eat a lot of them before you fill up, and like you can kind of eat them pretty mindlessly. And it's so easy to keep going that like by the time your meal comes out, you had tons of chips or tons of bread that you're like, oh, I'm not even hungry for what I ordered. So if you can hold off on those, I would recommend that, because then you have room to enjoy the meal that you came there for, you ordered. But, like I said, if those around you are partaking in that and you feel awkward or you don't want to miss out, if you have the confidence to do it, because personally, I never look around at anyone else's table. Like, their business is of no importance to me. So I'm never paying attention to anyone else. So if you want to bring your own like gluten-free bread or grain-free chips or like siete chips or something like that in a little baggie and stash it in a purse or a tote bag or the diaper bag or something like that, and bring that to enjoy the, the bread or the chips and salsa, but feel good about that choice, then you can do that too. It's just all depends on your comfortability in the restaurant. And so my last tip is to ask for sauces or dressings on the side. A lot of times these have more sugar than you would think in them. And so if you ask for it on the side, you are in control of how much of that you're consuming. So now we're going to move on to making choices at, fast food or like fast casual types of restaurants. And we'll kind of just go through what are some different places, what are options you can order. So first, we're going to start off with Chick-fil-A. They have lots of grilled chicken options, so you can get the grilled nuggets, either an 8 or 12 count, or I think they also offer the big 30 count nuggets in grilled as well. There's the grilled chicken sandwich or the grilled chicken club, and you can either get this with a gluten-free bun or as a lettuce wrap. They have the Chick-fil-A Cool Wrap. You could eat that deconstructed if you wanted because it is a flatbread. I mean, you can make that choice. But if you're avoiding wheat or just grains in general, you could eat it deconstructed. In fact, you can kind of ask them for a container, and then you can kind of dump the contents of the wrap into that and eat it kind of as like a salad bowl type of thing. Or you can also just order a salad. Their Cobb salad, you can get it with regular nuggets, but you can get it with grilled nuggets or a grilled filet. The filet is available cold or warm. And then none of the dressing options are my favorite, but I would choose I would probably choose their light Italian dressing. And then at Chipotle, available only on the app are some pre-made kind of specialty diet bowls. So there's the Wholesome Bowl, which is Whole30 Paleo and Keto compliant. This bowl has a lettuce base, grilled chicken, fajita veggies, the fresh tomato salsa, and guacamole. And then there's also a keto salad bowl. This one has a lettuce base, grilled chicken, tomatillo salsa, fresh tomato salsa, sour cream, and cheese. But then, I mean, it's Chipotle. You can build your own. So I would recommend doing a lettuce base or ask for a salad base and either skipping the rice and beans or pick one or the other and say, like, can I have a light portion, maybe not a full scoop, and then get the protein of your choice. I always add the fajita vegetables just because I love them, and then just get the toppings of your choice. I would stay away from the queso though, one, just because it costs extra, but if you're gonna do cheese, I would do the shredded cheese rather than the queso. Cava is another similar place, similar to Chipotle style. You can choose your base. So I would choose a salad base, and they have a variety of options. They have spinach or mixed greens, or I think they have like a super greens option, something like that. And then I would say pretty much all their toppings are going to be generally pretty good. I would just skip out on the complimentary pita and then the fried pita crisp toppings. Panda Express is another quick option. For the sides, of course, they have rice and chow mein, but they also have a side that is super greens, and this is sauteed or steamed kale, broccoli, and cabbage. And if you're not a fan of vegetables, I get that. I understand that. It's pretty non-flavorful as it is. So I think if you mix it in with your main dish, to me, you can't really taste the vegetableness. I mean, I know that's not the same for everyone, but I would say give it a try. And so for the entrees, I would recommend either the mushroom chicken, the broccoli beef, the string bean chicken breast, the black pepper chicken, or the black pepper steak would all be good options. For burger places or sandwich places, the majority of them, you can ask for the burger as a lettuce wrap. At In-N-Out, it's called like protein style. Like if you say that, they're going to know that you're talking about a lettuce wrap, or you could just say, would it be possible to get this as a lettuce wrap? I know Shake Shack, Carl's Jr., and Five Guys also all offer lettuce wrap burgers. Again, if you don't want to do lettuce wrap, you can eat, an open faced sandwich where you're maybe only eating half the bun rather than the whole thing, or you can get a fork and knife and eat it deconstructed. And then I would also ask for your sauces on the side so you can kind of control how much you're eating. For pizza places and stuff like that, a handful of them, especially those kind of build your own pizza places like Pie 5 and Mod and whatever the others are, they offer gluten-free crust. I know Mod Pizza has a cauliflower crust as well. And then Marco's Pizza, I know they do like pizza bowls. So you're mainly just eating all the toppings of the pizza without the crust. So those are all options as well. I hope this was helpful and kind of expanding your view of, okay, what can I eat when I'm, on the go, but how can I kind of stay in line with my goals? But again, I just want to say that one meal is not going to make or break your progress. It's not going to define you. And it's all about balance of fuel and food. So I'll see you guys next time.